All right, it began at 8:30 a.m. this morning, Louisville, Kentucky. Local officers responding to an active shooter situation at Old National Bank downtown. So far, 4 people killed in the shooting, plus the gunman. 6 people, including a police officer, transported to the hospital. The police officer's in critical condition. We know that, but at last word was still with us. They went to the University of Louisville Hospital. The shooter confirmed as deceased, as I just said, but the identity of the shooter and the victims have not been released. Louisville Mayor Greg Greenberg and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear responded to the community at 11 a.m. at a press conference. Here's part of what they said. Listen.
This is awful. I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through. So when we talk about praying, I hope people will. For those that we are hoping can make it through the surgeries that they're going through, and then we've got to do what we have done these last 3 years after everything. We've got to wrap our arms around these families. And to everybody who needs it, don't be afraid to get some help. Our bodies and our minds are not meant to go through these types of tragedies.
Yeah, it was rough, as you can see on the governor. Inevitably, this will become another gun control issue, another thing to point to. But honestly, why does this keep happening? Joining me live now to discuss that is Dr. John Lott. What is the right approach? What is the wrong approach from the Crime Prevention Research Center? Doctor, good to have you again.
Thanks.
So, I mean, the details still sketchy. I've heard some reports, I'm not confirmed yet, but some reports that the shooter worked at that bank, may have been a former employee, a disgruntled employee potentially, but and something about posting on social media, protests aren't working, let's do this, or something to that general effect. I'm paraphrasing. So what do you make of it?
I mean, I don't know what the protests were about or whatever, exactly what motivated the individual. You know, to me, I just in a practical sense, I think what we need to do is to make it so that you have guards at banks and other places, but that they're not readily identifiable by these killers. You know, in Tennessee, for example, there's a push to have one school resource officer in each school. They're going to have a bill for like $200 million to go and do that. What I would plead with them is, you know, if you want to do that, make sure that they're not in uniform, make sure that they're not identifiable. Let me give you an example. Would anybody want to have air marshals in uniform? You know, the air marshals who fly in planes? Wouldn't that kind of defeat the whole thing? If you have terrorists on and you have an air marshal who's in uniform and readily identifiable, would that make it so that the terrorists would take out that person first before they try to take over the plane? It would kind of defeat the whole purpose of having an air marshal there. And I guess, you know, I can understand people may feel some sense of security by having guards in uniforms or police officers in uniforms in these places. But the thing you have to understand is that when you have maybe the only person that has a gun in uniform, it gives these attackers real tactical advantages. You can either wait for the person in uniform to leave the area before they attack, or they themselves can pick another target, or in this case where maybe a former disgruntled employee is intent on doing the attack there, my guess is those are the very people he takes out first, or the very person he takes out first. So it gives them a real tactical advantage that's there, and that's my suggestion on how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think that we need to find ways to, you know, and I agree with you. You don't want to identify the people that are there to protect us, keep a lower profile. In a school, though, depending on how small the school is, everybody's going to know who it is, right? Everybody will know who the person that is there that is armed. But I can tell you this, when you look at schools, when you have schools that allow staff and faculty to carry concealed, which is about a third of the schools in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. This was not a school, but just to make a comparison here, there's never been a mass shooting at any school in America where the teachers and faculty are allowed to carry concealed and nobody knows who it is. That's a fact, isn't it?
Right. There's been no attack where anybody's been killed or wounded, even one or two people, let alone four or more, which would be a mass public shooting. And, these in the school attacks, time after time, or other mass public shootings, you almost always have people that are intent on committing suicide, but they want to do so in a way that will get the media attention. And they know the more people they kill, the more media attention that they're going to get. What I find irresponsible is the media coverage of this stuff. The Nashville shooter that we just had, apparently, according to the police chief, in their manifesto, which the Biden administration has been refusing to release now 2 weeks after the attack, the killer apparently had another target that they wanted to go after, but had decided not to do it because of armed security that was present there. You look at the Buffalo mass murderer from last year. He made it very clear why he picked the target that he did. He wanted to go to a place where civilians weren't allowed to go and carry guns for protection, because that would make it much easier for him to kill people. But the national media, whether it's the Nashville case or the Buffalo shooter or many, many, many others that make similar statements, just refuses to go and talk about in their coverage why the killers picked the targets that they did. And I guess my question is, isn't that newsworthy? I mean, we're trying to figure out why these guys did the crimes that they did, why they picked the targets. Why not once in a while mention what these mass murderers say in their own words? Why will the media refuse constantly to go and cover that part of the story? My own guess is, if they did, this gun control debate that we have would be very different.
Yeah. We're getting some information now about the shooter. I think we have a name. It's not confirmed yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. But it seems from the social media postings, here's another very left of center individual. That's what we've got here, who apparently is trying to make a point. Now, I don't know. You make the point that the manifesto from 2 weeks ago not released. We need to see those things. We need to know why those things are going wrong so that we can be keyed in on those things, I think, Doctor. So if you hear certain, words that are keywords and catchphrases, well, we need to, me as an individual, I want to know what those things are. So if I hear somebody saying it, I can key in on it, right? My job is to protect me. I don't need the government to protect me. I need me to protect me. I need to know what's going on. I need the government to be open about what is being discovered. Wouldn't that be an important thing to do?
We want citizens to be well informed in terms of making decisions on
Right.
what policies to go and support. And look, this is very unusual. I mean, I guess it's because you have a trans individual that they're not releasing it. I mean, there have been lots of these shootings. I've never heard of a situation where the federal government has taken possession of the manifesto and then not released it. Virtually always, these manifestos are released, within 4 hours or almost immediately.
Yeah. Dr. John Lott, I got to leave it right there for today because everybody's got places to be, you included. Sir, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate Dr. John Lott coming to us from Montana, as he always does. We'll take a break here. And after the break, the House Oversight Committee is looking for bank records, and they want to see all the financial records related to the Biden family. Go figure, it's up ahead on ABL.